Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to ask question 11927 2017 under my name, and is directed to Minister for Employment, Productivity and Industrial Relations. Can the Minister advise this House on strategies that will be undertaken by Ministry to ensure that the review of national minimum wage and the wage regulation are inclusive and participatory? Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Minister for Employment, Productivity and Industrial Relations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for his question. Yes, it is one of our intents, and it's his basic tenet of what we're trying to do in terms of the national minimum wage is to make sure that it's inclusive as possible and it is participatory. The first thing that has been done to ensure this is to make sure that the person that is undertaking the exercise comes from outside of the ministry. So that is what has happened in this case. An expression of interest was put into the papers. People that have the expertise to undertake this kind of work have expressed their interest. One has been chosen. In this particular instance, a professor from the University of the South Pacific who has a lot of expertise in this area, and he brings a lot of experience and publications in this area. As a result of that, we have a group of people who are undertaking survey to get data. So we're actually tapping in and consulting the people that will be impacted and that will be affected by the wage regulation order and also by the national minimum wages. We have 88 enumerators working in the Northern Division, Central Division and the Western Division to try to get that information. So there is that consultation at the street level. The other level of consultation will take place once the wage regulation orders, the new wage regulation orders and the new national minimum wages have been formulated. There will then be public consultations where this will be taken and discussed. There will be a discussion that takes place in the North and in the Central Division and also in the Western Division. That also given a time for, especially in terms of the wage regulation orders, those that are involved in these sectors to have a look at what the proposals are and to give their feedback on what they'd like to say in relation to the national minimum wage and also the wage regulation order. And the last bit of consultation will take place at the Employment Relations Advisory Board, which is tripartite in nature and has representatives of unions, of employers and also government. So during this, throughout this process, Madam Speaker, there is an ongoing focus on consultation and participation in the process.
Thank you.
Monday, the Honourable Minister said...
Is it supplementary or point of order?
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, thank you.
Honourable Minister stated that he expected the review to be completed within a month. Could you advise this House whether there's enough time to take all this into account within that time, 1 month?
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, as the Honourable Member has mentioned, we are targeting to do this within the month, and we believe that there is enough time. A lot of the data has already been collected, and we have done this exercise in the past, so the staff and the consultant that is currently undertaking this process has something to refer back to. So we believe that by next month we should be in a position to be able to present the revised recommended national minimum wages and the recommended wage regulation orders.
Thank you. Honourable Oliver Reddy,
Supplementary question. Can the Honourable Minister advise this House on work undertaken by the Ministry to deal with frequent offenders of labour compliance requirements and how the Ministry aims to improve the current systems? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. One of the things that we have tried to encourage in terms of industrial relations and the employment relations climate is to encourage all employers to self-regulate themselves, to understand what our responsibilities are to workers, and to make sure that we can provide this on our own without the ministry walking around with a big stick and hitting people over the head to make sure that they comply. But over and above that, we have a compliance section in the ministry that conducts labour inspections to ensure that we provide information to workers and employers through inspection visits. So there are actually visits taking place. From August 2016 until February 2017, we have conducted a total of 2,031 such inspections nationwide. And this is part of a proactive approach to ensure that employers are advised on the minimum rates with the minimum terms and conditions as outlined in the national minimum wages and wage regulations. From January 2016 until February 2017, we have charged a total of 92 employers for criminal offences, ranging from failing to produce wages and time records, failing to pay workers their minimum rates of pay, and failing to pay workers their wages due. During this period, our legal team has also filed a total of 52 claims in the Employment Relations Tribunal for wages due to these workers which were not paid by the employers when the Ministry had served a claim letter to these employers. The Ministry also provides guidance to employers to ensure that they maintain proper wages and time records, together with providing the pay slips to workers, and also ensuring that workers are paid their rightful dues stipulated under the wages regulations and the national minimum wages. We also give employers a 30-day notice for them to improve their current standard and to ensure that they pay workers their minimum rates of pay. So they're given those 30 days notice. Only when an employer fails to comply with the notices provided and fails to cooperate in terms of the Employment Relations Act, then is the matter taken to the Employment Relations Tribunal for adjudication. I think at the end of the day, we want to encourage all employers and workers in Fiji that they need to engage in good faith employment relations, and employers must ensure that workers are given their rightful dues. As part of the process, we are implementing changes within the complaints resolution process to ensure quick turnover and better returns on complaints lodged by workers. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Mataya Kauri.
Supplementary question, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary
The
question.
National Employment Centre under the National Employment Act is mandated to register unemployed clients as a one-stop shop and for placements into one of the employment creation services. What is the rate of placement by the National Employment Centre, and what other programs are being pursued by the National Employment Centre to boost placement of graduates in the employment market? Thank you.
Honorable Minister. Onus is on you to answer. It's really not unrelated to the question, but.
Madam Speaker, that question is about the National Employment Centre, but we're talking about the national minimum wages, yeah? So I can address that when I refer to the next question.
Thank you. Honorable Asir. Honorable Asir.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister, in his consultation, consider discussing with the owners of the garment factory to comply with these minimum wage guidelines so and not abuse their workers? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Sorry, Madam Speaker, can you just repeat that question?
Repeat your question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister, in his consultation process, consider discussing with the owners of the garment factory to comply with the minimum wage guideline instead of abusing their labourers? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I've explained that in terms of getting people to comply with, in this particular case, it will be the wage regulation order for the TCF sector, for the textile, clothing and footwear. So there are inspections carried out. There are inspections carried out to make sure that they do comply. The exercise that I've been talking about is the formulation of a new wage regulation order. So in the formulation of that new wage regulation order, people that are in this sector, employers, they have the opportunity to be able to participate in the public consultation that will take place at the end of the process, and their representatives, I believe, will also sit in the Employment Relations Advisory Board. So, with respect to making sure that they do comply, there are inspection visits that are taken out. But this exercise is talking about formulating the new wage regulation order that will govern the wages that will be paid for their employees.
Okay, Dr. Bridgelow, Honorable Dr. Bridgelow.
Supplementary question, Madam.
Supplementary question.
Can the Minister advise the Honourable House on the action taken by the Ministry to advance female workers' rights, in particular in the promotion and awareness of maternity rights? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There is important consideration that is taken into account by by the ministry. As I've pointed out, there are proactive inspection visits. We believe that one of the most important ways, one of the fundamental things that you can do to reduce the number of complaints you have in any particular industry is to make sure that the workers in those industries and the employers themselves are familiar with the rights of employees, in particular the rights to do with maternity. So that information is being propagated and given to all the organizations that we have in this country, and our officers will go and also explain this. So to try to make sure that women's rights, maternity rights are looked after and that they are catered for as per the protections in the legislation.
Thank you. Honorable Parmochan.
Supplementary question. I'd just like to ask the Minister, whilst this consultation is taking place, how broadly this action has been taken. The consultation, are all the workers involved? Because there are many workers who do not have representatives, they don't have unions. So I'd like to know what is the broad consultation and what is the mechanism that is being used to carry out this consultation.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The consultation is targeting to visit actual workers. So not just talking to the representative of workers. A lot of the people that are in the kinds of sectors that will be affected by the wage regulation orders and the national minimum wage are not unionized. They are not members of unions. So in order to consult them, the experts, economists come up with ways in which you actually visit them. Talk to people, identify streets, identify parts of our community where these workers are, and we have enumerators that go to them and meet them one-on-one and ask them questions about what they're earning and how their day-to-day life is and how they're able to meet it. Yeah, so there are forums being organized for this. We have 88 enumerators. They've identified streets, they identified towns and cities where these workers are, and workers are going to collect information for them. We have a target of more than 5,000. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to actual workers and get from them what is it that they're actually earning and how is what they are earning helping them to go on to meet the requirements of their lives on a day-to-day basis. So there is that direct consultation with workers at that particular level. But over and above that, we still have the consultation for the public later on, and ultimately the consultation with the Employment Relations Advisory Board that does have representatives of unions.